Okay, hello and welcome again to that WNBA podcast, the podcast where I dive deep into the world of the WNBA. Join me as we celebrate these incredible athletes, thrilling games, and inspiring stories that make women's basketball so special. Whether you're a long-time fan or new to the sport, hopefully I've got you covered with game analysis, interviews, all the latest news from around the league. So let's get ready to be inspired, informed, entertained, and let's tip off. So, welcome back again to episode 8 already of that WNBA podcast. God, it's gone quickly. I'm really excited. I love how I'm kind of developing this and how I'm getting more and more confident in talking to you guys about all the great news and all the great stuff that's happening around the WNBA. We're already on to episode 8. Remember, if you like, to listen to me and hopefully get the word out there, please give me a follow on social media, via or at that WNBA podcast. On X, I post a lot of stuff. I post the most. I share a lot of news from around the league, a lot of stats, a lot of interesting things. I try and give a couple of my own opinions here and there. And yeah, look, just give the podcast a like. It's available on all your podcast platforms. Give it a follow, comment, do anything that'll get it out there, and hopefully more people can join the community. I'm still working on the setup. Obviously, still a lot, still very blurred, and with the green screen background here, but still working on it. Still looking at getting a better camera and a microphone so you guys can hear me better. But for now, this is what it is until hopefully we get a bit more of a following, and then I'll invest in some of that stuff. Still looking at it if anyone's got any advice on some budget-friendly cameras and microphones I could purchase. Let me know. Leave a comment. Anything helps. But, we're here to talk about the WNBA, so let's get straight into it. And today, there's a few things I want to talk about, but mainly we're approaching the playoffs, guys. It's getting closer and closer. There's not too long to go. And one of my main topics, of course, once again, kind of centered around Caitlin Clark, but can the Fever make some noise in these playoffs? They're looking really good. All right, they are looking incredibly good. Maybe not on the same tier as some of those top teams, but I'm telling you, they could spring a surprise. We're going to talk about that shortly. Also, of course, just want to talk about some of the action from around the WNBA over the last week. Some more record-breaking news, again, mainly involving Caitlin Clark, as we've all come to expect. Some record-breaking stuff, some great action, and let's get straight into it. So, first of all, we're approaching the playoffs. Okay, and with that said, most teams now have played around the 28-game mark, and honestly, I can't wait for these playoffs. It's going to be so much fun. I'm expecting it to be incredibly competitive, right, all the way down from 1st to 8th. We're running until about the 20th of September, so we've just got about a month to go. And look, I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. When it comes to the standings, we all know that, certain teams are quite far in front at the top, mainly talking about the New York Liberty here. And then we've got kind of, I think, our playoffs set. I think it's pretty safe to say that the Fever are going to make the playoffs now. They're that 7th seed. You can't rule them out from jumping up to 6th just yet. They're, I think, a couple of games behind the Mercury. That's still more than possible, especially the way they've been playing against the Mercury. Lately, I think they're 3-0 against the Mercury and Diana Taurasi this year. I think they're also, I believe, 3-0 against the Connecticut Sun. And at the moment, if they stay 7th, that's who they would play in their first-round matchup. I don't know if you want to read too much into, regular season series, but the way the Fever have been dominating the Sun, I think they've got a great chance at an upset in that first round. I'm not going to lie. I think it's going to be incredibly fun to watch, incredibly fun to talk about, to discuss, and I'm really excited for all of that to happen. So yeah, I really think they can make a noise in the playoffs. So I want to talk a little bit more about that, and mainly talk about obviously Caitlin Clark and what she's been doing, and that kind of connects really well to these record-breaking stats. And when I'm saying record-breaking, I'm talking about Caitlin. Obviously, we've had not just Caitlin, but also Angel Reese break some more records. But I really want to focus on Caitlin and the FIBA here because these things kind of tie in together. So, her latest rookie feat, okay, a few days ago, she is playing really well. I think she's on track to be the first rookie ever to average 15, 5, and 5 in her rookie season. And she matched a stat the other day. And, keeping in mind this is the WNBA, not the NBA, I don't want to compare the two leagues. We know there's still a way to go. But she's matched a feat. Okay, remember, she's 22 years old, she's a rookie. That's only been accomplished by Steph Curry and also by the greatest of all time, and yes, I'm saying that the greatest of all time, Michael Jordan. Okay, she finished in the FIBA win over the Mercury. Just spoke about the fact that I think they're 3-0 against the Mercury this year, with 29 points, 10 assists, and 5 rebounds. Okay, and she is the only rookie in the WNBA to ever record those stats. Okay, on 70% true shooting multiple times. So Michael Jordan did it twice in 85 as a rookie. Steph did it 4 times in 2010 as a rookie. Now Caitlin's done it twice this year. We know that she obviously surpassed Steph in NCAA three-pointers made in a single season. She's broken all sorts of records, but I think that one's pretty incredible, especially that no one's done that before in the WNBA. It's really an incredible feat. And yeah, I think that she's just absolutely balling at the moment. I think she's come back. I think Kevin Garnett said this. Maybe this was kind of the adjustment that usually rookies don't get between the end of their college season and the start of the WNBA season. She got to go in the gym to work out, to have a bit of a break, to adjust, to watch film. And I think she's used it incredibly. I think she's going to run away with this Rookie of the Year race. I think she might be up there in the MVP race even. I don't know how voters are going to see that, but I think she should be up maybe in, I know that's not how working goes traditionally, but I would have her in maybe the top 10 in the MVP race. And also when they beat the Storm the other day, by the way, 92-75, these are all playoff teams that they're beating at the moment. She set another record, and that's the lead assist record for a rookie, which is just incredible. She's beaten the single game record of assists for a rookie. She's got the all-time record now at that same point in time for assists in a single game ever in the WNBA with 19. Now she's broken the season assist record as a rookie. And she came in and most people just thought of her as a scorer, really. She always went out there and she said, my greatest ability is my passing. I love to set up my teammates. I'm a great passer. And she's just shown it off. And I think she's going to break all sorts of assist records as she goes through the years in the WNBA. I think she's going to be one of the greatest players to ever play. I think she's going to break scoring records, assist records. And look, obviously we have our greats. We have Diana, we have Sue Bird, Candace Parker, all these ladies. But I think Caitlin, by the time she's finished, she's definitely going to be up there. And especially, I've talked about this, once she gets more of an WNBA-ready body as well. She's been in the gym. I saw a funny clip where she remarked on a reporter kind of pointing out her arms, her strength training. And she's really looking great in that area. She seems like she's already put on a bit of muscles. I mean, she's never going to be huge. She's obviously a smaller frame, and she said she doesn't want to lose that speed either, which is really critical for her, especially to get those threes off, those deep threes and things. But once she kind of gets her legs into it, adjusts really to that speed of the game, and just gets that body a little bit bigger and a bit stronger. I think she said she's deceptively strong. God, I think she's going to be a nightmare. And with that said, look, I think that Indiana Fever are really going to make a run here towards the playoffs. I think that they could. God, I think top 5 is a stretch, but I think that they could win enough games here in the second part of the season to get into 6th spot. Whether or not they want to do that actually is up for debate, because you want to win all the games you can, because obviously a team that hasn't been to the playoffs in a few years, you obviously don't want to risk giving that up. But also, like I said before, they've been playing so well against the Sun that maybe you might want that series first up, because if you end up in in 6th spot, I think you're gonna have to play the Lynx, maybe the Aces, depending on how the year finishes. I don't think you really want to do that. I don't think you have much of a chance there. But to win a playoff series, I think that the Fever can really make some noise. And I think that's enough to make noise. Look, obviously people have different, opinions on what kind of success means in the playoffs. But for a team that had 2 first-round draft picks in a row, has only had so far half a season with Caitlin Clark to adjust to the WNBA, who hasn't been to the playoffs in years, I think making noise in the playoffs and having success in the playoffs is equivalent to just making them in the first place in your first year. But to win a playoff series would be huge. And I think they can give a lot of teams trouble too. I'm not saying they're going to win a playoff series, but if they do, if they made it through to the second round, I think you have to be careful. Whoever plays them, you really have to be careful. I don't think they'll move further than that. I think it's a stretch to think that they'll win a playoff series. But man, you have to watch out. And I think that's really important to note. Honestly, it could really be exciting. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you guys are too. Also, I want to say when it comes to this record breaking and around the Fever, we've had more viewing records broken as well. I think the game against their last game against the Storm? I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. I think it was top 5th highest WNBA rated games. God, I want to say since somewhere in the 90s. It's getting up there. It's really impressive, and hopefully it can go on like that. But I'm just looking here, and it says that the ESPN announced that the game had an average TV audience of 2.2 million viewers. So, that's quite something. The other thing I wanted to mention, because I don't just want to focus on Caitlin. Obviously, those are the big stories. She's getting most of the media attention. That's why I'm covering her so much. I do want to give the other players their flowers, though, and I talked about the fact that Angel Reese also broke some records, also has been playing really well, as we know. So on Sunday, she racked up 19 points and 20 rebounds. God, that's a ton of rebounds. In an 86-68 loss to the Mercury, but essentially she scored almost a third of their points. And she's become the fastest player in WNBA history to record 20 double-doubles in a single season, which is really impressive. People are going to have a look at how many of those 20 rebounds were from her missed shots. I understand that. We've talked about that in the past. But it's still an incredible stat. Okay, she's leading the league in rebounding with 12.3 per game, which is incredible for let's just point this out, for a rookie to lead the league in rebounding. I think it's also incredible that Caitlin Clark is top 5 in blocks as a guard. So, yeah, look, these records being broken by rookies is really incredible. It's doing wonders for the game, and I just hope it carries on and it keeps people engaged. So she's reached, though, that total of double-doubles in just 27 games, and is now just 2 double-doubles shy of matching Tina Child's record for most double-doubles in a rookie season, set in 2010. And I'm absolutely 100% sure she's going to break that. Put your house on it. Don't actually. I'm not promoting gambling here, but yeah, 100% she's going to break that record. I think we all know that. We know that earlier in the season, she broke the record for most consecutive double-doubles in WNBA history. And yeah, look, the WNBA is back in full swing. I think both those rookies are going to lead their teams to the postseason. I think that the Fever is going to finish in 7th, at least, and a spot higher than the Chicago Sky. I think that Caitlin, for that reason, and just for the fact that she's been the better rookie, is going to win Rookie of the Year. We talked about that last week. And yeah, look, the Fever, 13 and 15. Look, they can definitely improve that to at least the 50% mark. I think maybe even a bit higher, and I think they're on an incredible run at the moment. They face the Minnesota Lynx next on Saturday, and that's going to be a tough game. That's another good opponent. Do I think they're going to win that one? I wouldn't think so, but you never know. If they do, look, they're 1 game off 500. I think that's pretty bloody awesome. Chicago are 11 and 16, so I don't think they're going to catch the Fever. They're playing the Kinetic Sun on Friday. And yeah, the more these rookies play, the more they seem to be breaking records, and the more TV viewers the WNBA gets, and the more excitement there is around the game. And I think it's an incredible thing. One negative thing, and I'm not sure if this is also going to be a record, but I think it's interesting to point out, is that Caitlin's are actually only two takes away from getting a automatic suspension by the WNBA. Do I think she's going to get there? And do I think her last tech was deserved? Honestly, no. I'm not sure if they maybe applied to the league to get that rescinded. I'm not sure how that works, if that works the same in the WNBA as it does in the NBA. But I know that one of my favorite players in the NBA, Luka, who is very well known for his talking to the referees, ends up getting to a couple of techs shy of a suspension in the NBA every year, and then he just shuts up and gets on with it and never gets suspended. So I assume that Caitlin will do the same thing. I don't think she will get suspended. If she does, I hope she does with enough time before the playoffs begin. And yeah, look, I wouldn't worry too much about it. She's a competitor. She is, she gets heated. She's emotional. But I don't think she's really bad in that aspect at all. I think the last technical definitely wasn't deserved. Most of you probably saw the reaction by the Storm's bench a couple of days ago when she was just hyping up the crowd. And look, I think that was an overreaction as well. She wasn't looking at their bench. She wasn't taunting their bench. She's really not a player that goes over and gets in your face when they're winning by a lot or when the game's almost over. I mean, she does her talking when those games are close, and she talks when she wants to talk, and she's not a front runner at all by any means, I don't think. So I didn't see that as much of a problem. I think that was a bit ridiculous, but nevertheless, she is now just a couple of texts away. I saw that she was quite confused with that call because she was frustrated herself. I really think it wasn't deserved. She hit the base of the basket, and the ref said that she was just being disrespectful of the game of basketball, which honestly is ridiculous. I think referees I think they're probably not as harsh in the WNBA as they are in the NBA, but I really think that we need to stop giving them so much leeway. I think we should stop fining coaches for talking about referees and players. I think they should be made to be held accountable, and I think they need to toughen up. Players should be allowed to be emotional. They should be allowed to trash talk. As long as no one's getting hurt, I think it should be fine. And yeah, I think she was confused with the call. I think Christy Sides, the coach, had a bit of a funny comment afterwards, and that she's going to have a conversation with Caitlin. I think she said smilingly, and that she doesn't obviously need her to sit out a game, because that wouldn't be very good. But yeah, anyway, interesting to note, just so we're all aware of that. Apart from that, as my screen freezes here, hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. Apart from that, I think we can move on to a couple of other bits of news. We're almost at our time already. First of all, Gabby Williams from, I believe, the French national team returns to Seattle after her showing out at the Olympics. We remember hopefully talking about the fact that she almost sent that gold medal match into overtime. And she was named the best defensive player at the Olympics, and selected to the All-Star 5 as well. And yeah, she's going to return to Seattle and hopefully have a good showing and showcase her world-class talent, and see what happens. It's her third season with the Storm after being acquired in a trade with Los Angeles at the start of the 22 season. In 2022, she made a big splash. She started all 36 games, averaged 7.5 points, 5 rebounds, 3.1 assists, 1.5 steals per game, while connecting on 44%, a career best from the field. She's a great defender. But yeah, look, she is 27 in September. Re-signed with the Storm midway through 2023 after missing the first half with an injury, and hopefully she can get back to some of her best and showcase what she can do. She was really impressive at the Olympics. And I think one of the last bits of news I want to talk about, kind of before we maybe recap a few more games from the last week before we finish, I just want to point out as well that we talked about the All-Star game a while ago, and we saw that video probably of Caitlin Clark really enjoying that All-Star game, but saying, hey, we need to bring this thing to Indy. And that has happened. So I think this is a great call. I think unlike some of the other calls that maybe the USA national basketball team has made, there were some talks about the fact that if she'd played that like that at the start of the year, that she would have made the team. The WNBA has definitely listened to the feedback from fans. They've seen the popularity. They're going to capitalize on it. I think this is really smart of them to do. And they have moved the 2025 WNBA All-Star Game to Indianapolis to be hosted by the Indiana Fever at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I think that place is going to be absolutely packed next year. I expect Aliyah Boston, at least, and Caitlin to be back at the All-Star Game. I expect her to, at home, compete in the three-point contest. I expect Sabrina to compete. I think that's going to draw massive crowds and massive viewer ratings. And look, this year's event was obviously sold out with 16,400 people roughly in Phoenix, and it had 3.44 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA All-Star game ever. I think that's going to be even higher next year. And yeah, I am really looking forward to it. I think it's really good news. I think it's a really good call by the WNBA, and we'll see how that goes next year. I mean, I can't wait for it. I'm really excited, and we'll see what happens, I guess. In other news, just before we finish, we're getting towards the end. I don't want to go too far over this week, over the half an hour that I try to keep myself to. But we'll go over a couple of games from today. The Liberty keep on winning. They ended up beating Dallas by 25 points. Dallas was only behind by 9 at the last change, which is kind of a little bit disappointing, I think, on their end. Obviously, Brandon Stewart balled out with 26 points. Jonquel Jones had 23. As always, they played really well. Sabrina didn't play today. Satu played for the Wings. She had 24. She's getting back into the rhythm, and I think for someone who hasn't played in such a long time, she's been doing really well. I think she probably needs to get a bit of that WNBA fitness back into her game, and then she'll really be going. But Arike had 17 points. A bit disappointing that kind of blew out towards the end, I think, on the Dallas Wings side. The Sun beat the Sparks, which is, I think, pretty expected. The Storm beat the Mystics, also expected. We talked about yesterday that the Fever obviously beat the Storm by 7 points and kind of edged, 17 points, and kind of went on a run there towards the end with Caitlin kind of hyping up the crowd. Mercury beat the Sky. We talked about that when we talked about Angel Reese a little bit. The Aces beat the Sparks. They keep, plodding along, maybe not as well as last year, but they're definitely still a big factor when the playoffs come around. And then what else over the last week? I mean, the Liberty keep winning. They beat the Aces convincingly, and I think you'd be silly not to have them as the favorites this year, I think by quite a long margin. The Sun before that on Saturday beat the Wings. The Fever beat the Mercury. We talked about that. And I think that's about as far as I need to go back, because that was pretty much what we were at last week, just after the All-Star break. So, look, that's probably most of it from me from here. News-wise, I'll just check if there was anything else that I wanted to maybe discuss from the last week. But I think that, we've covered most of the big bits and pieces. Look, it's been really exciting to watch. I really hope that everyone's kind of hopefully keeping up with what's happening here. But, we talked about the record-breaking ticket sales and record-breaking moments on Caitlin Clark's side. But here's something just for the Fever, because they released some mid-season growth numbers, which kind of, I think, hammers home some of these facts that I've been putting out about viewership and things. But the Fever alone have sold out 100% of season tickets. Total attendance is up 264% from last year. 186,000 fans have attended a Fever home game. 230,000 fans have attended a Fever road game. Merchandise, there's I think that's a 1,193% increase, or a 1.193% increase. Not sure what they've done here. I don't think 1.193 is enough. But increase in jersey sales from last year. Team store transactions are up 700% from 2023. Broke the franchise single game merchandise sales record 4 times. Social media metrics, they're up over 800 million views in the last 4 months alone. Added 1.3 million followers since April 15th. The Fever have more social media viewers than any other WNBA, NBA, NFL, NHL, or MLB team over the last 4 months. TV viewership, 38 games on national TV this year, most in the WNBA. They've set records for most viewed WNBA games on ABC, ION, ESPN, and NBA TV. The corporate partnerships have gone up 225%. Largest number of team sponsors in the WNBA. The 2024 WNBA season is only about halfway done. And you can see how much Caitlin Clark has changed the game. Look, the Fever are loving this. I'm sure all the teams in the WNBA are loving this. The revenue is going to be incredibly high. But here's another record-breaking thing that I didn't mention earlier. Caitlin Clark, rookie ranks, first in points, first in assists, first in steals, first in three-pointers made, first in field goals made, first in free throw percentage. Look, she's doing some incredible things. WNBA is incredible. The other day you had Lexi Hull taking over the spotlight in the Fever game. She was incredible. She's been really good defensively. She's a slimmer frame, but she was absolutely hitting from three. She was taking charges. Incredible. Kelsey Mitchell has still been on fire for the Fever. Since the break, the points per game, A'ja Wilson with 29, Kelsey Mitchell with 27.5, and then Caitlin Clark 26. What else have we got here? Just things happening everywhere. I know a lot of it's Caitlin Clark, and I know some of you might get sick of that. But honestly, it's such an important topic to talk about because it's what is giving the WNBA viewership. It's what's putting it out there. And as a lover of female sports, I can't be mad with that. I know people might be getting annoyed, maybe still saying that Caitlin Clark is getting all this attention and that's why other people don't like her. And I understand that. But in the end, you need somebody to come through or a pair to come through like Bird and Magic in the NBA in the 70s to really drive that market and gain popularity. And that's what they're doing now. You know, soccer is now the world game, okay, men's soccer. I'm sorry to all other fans out there of other sporting codes. I love a lot of other sporting codes, but soccer is the world game. It's played everywhere. It's the highest watched event is the FIFA World Cup. And there's a reason for that. But also 60 years ago, those men were being paid nothing. Okay, it takes time, but you need something like that to really change the game. And she's doing it, and the WNBA is doing it. And hopefully it's sustainable. But yeah, I'm going to end it on that. I think that's all the news that we need for this week. I think we've pretty much covered it. I am so looking forward to the playoffs. We've still got a while to go, probably about 4 weeks, 4 more episodes before the playoffs start, and then I'll be covering everything playoff related. You won't miss a second. I might throw some bonus podcasts in there. Hopefully by then, maybe I'll have some better quality, and hopefully you'll stick around. Give us some likes. Give us some some subscriptions. Some comments, anything to put this podcast out there. I know I'm increasing in viewership, but I need some likes to really keep this podcast going and to be able to invest in some better equipment. If you don't like, the sound of my voice currently, the way it comes across, or my quality on YouTube. So support the podcast, and then I can, definitely go out there and invest and hopefully make a better product. But hopefully you enjoy the knowledge that I bring and my insights and my opinions on the game at the moment. And look, there's just stuff everywhere at the moment. There's stuff happening everywhere, and I'm going to leave it at that because I don't want to go for too much longer. So, look, thanks again for joining in and tuning in to that WNBA podcast once again. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hope you feel even more connected to the world of the WNBA because it's incredible. Don't forget, like I said, to subscribe, to like the podcast, to leave the podcast a review on Spotify, whatever, on YouTube. Follow me on social media at that WNBA podcast. Give us a like there. Give us a follow there on X or on Instagram. And follow for the latest, updates. Join the conversation. Have a conversation with me. I'm really happy to, have a conversation about what's happening around the WNBA world and the women's sports world in general. So until next time, please keep supporting women's basketball, keep supporting the podcast, and keep supporting basketball and celebrating these heroes on and off the court.